Welcome to Umuha, where the golden sun kisses the earth and blessings flow like the great river Ikuta. The crops, animals, and even the women of Umuha are known for their boundless fertility. Yet, in this land of abundance, there was one story that shook the village to its core. Adaku had been married to Dike for 5 years, but her womb remained empty. In a village where fertility defined a woman's worth, Adaku's barrenness became a source of shame and endless rumors. Did you guys hear? Adaku has been cursed by the gods. Is that the only thing you heard? I heard that her barrenness is because she has angered the gods. This and many more rumors circulated about Adaku all round the village, and no one wanted to be associated with her. One fateful day, the elders and the chiefs of the village convened a meeting with Dike, Adaku's husband. Sitting in a circle with their faces grave with concern, they addressed Dike, advising him to take a second wife and to send Adaku away to prevent the spread of her misfortune. Unknown to the gathered elders, Adaku stood just outside the hut, hidden in the shadows, overhearing every word. Her heart shattered as their words pierced her soul. This moment would change everything. Desperation consumed Adaku each passing day, deepening her anguish. She had tried every fertility herb and visited every healer, yet her womb remained barren. With nowhere else to turn to, she decided to seek out Iya Ifa, the banished priestess. Iya Ifa, once revered, had been cast out of the village for her dealings with forbidden magic. She now lives in isolation on a mountain, feared and shunned by all. "I will do anything for a child," Adaku said. "My dear daughter, only the river god, Ekun, can grant your wish, but his gifts come at a price. Are you ready to pay?" "Yes, priestess, I am willing to pay any price," Adaku said. Iya Ifa chants and summons Ekun, the river god, and a towering figure of beauty and terror emerges, his voice echoing like thunder. Adaku, filled with fear, bowed before him. "A life for a life. Do you accept?" the river god Ekun said. Hesitant but desperate, Adaku says yes, and immediately the towering figure disappears. Blinded by her desperation, Adaku agreed, not fully understanding the price she had promised to pay. Months passed, and Adaku's belly began to swell. Finally, Adaku's prayers were answered. The village rejoiced, and her shame turned to pride, but her joy was short-lived. On the day Adaku was due to give birth, dark clouds gathered over the village, and a fierce storm unleashed its wrath. Torrential rain poured relentlessly, causing the river to overflow and flood the entire village. Inside her hut, Adaku was in agony, gripped by labor pains, while the midwife desperately tried to comfort her. Suddenly, a chilling presence filled the room as Ekun, the river god, appeared before her. His towering figure loomed over Adaku, his voice echoing like thunder. A debt must be paid. A life for a life, Ekun, the river god, said. Adaku, drenched in fear and pain, gasped for air, her strength fading. With one final cry, her life slipped away, but not before bringing forth her daughter, Adana. Indeed, the villagers were filled with different emotions. On one hand, they were excited about the birth of Adana, and on the other hand, they mourned the death of her beautiful mother, Adaku. Years passed, and Adana grows into a stunning young woman, her every step commanding attention. Each year on her birthday, torrential rain flooded the village. Adana, however, loved dancing under the rain. Unknown to Adana, the river god had marked her as his own, waiting for the day she would return to him. Adana's beauty attracted suitors from far and wide. Men flocked to Umuha, but each man who proposed met a tragic fate, misfortune, illness, or even death. No man who sought Adana's hand survived, and soon fear replaced the admiration people had for her. One day, the handsome-looking prince of Imagi came to Umuha to exchange pleasantries with the king, and on his way, he had an encounter with the beautiful Adana and fell in love with her instantly. Prince Ayokunle is a dashing and kind-hearted royal from Imagi village, where he is beloved by all. For the first time, Adana felt love, a love so pure it made her forget the strange shadow over her life. The love between Prince Ayokunle and the beautiful Adana grew stronger, and they both decided to get married. On the day of Adana's wedding, the village was alive with celebration. The air was filled with music, laughter, and the rhythmic beating of talking drums. Villagers danced and sang, their joy radiating as they awaited the union of Adana and Prince Ayokunle. Adana sat gracefully in her bridal attire, glowing with beauty, her heart filled with excitement for the life she was about to begin. She was the picture of perfection, unaware of the dark storm about to descend upon her. Suddenly, the jubilant atmosphere was shattered when a man came sprinting into the village square, his face pale with fear. He knelt before the king, whispering urgently into his ear. The king's expression shifted to one of alarm as he rose from his seat, raising his hand to silence the crowd. My people, the celebration must end. Grave news has reached us. Prince Ayokunle has been found dead in his chambers, the king said. A gasp rippled through the crowd, and the joyous music came to an abrupt halt. Adana, stunned, rose to her feet, her beautiful face now streaked with tears. Her cries echoed across the village as she collapsed to the ground, overcome with grief. The villagers murmured in shock, their once celebratory spirit now replaced with fear and sorrow. Heartbroken and desperate for answers, Adana made her way to the secluded mountain where the banished priestess Iyaifa lived. The journey was treacherous, but her grief and determination drove her forward. She needed to understand why sorrow seemed to follow her at every turn. Great Iya Ifa, why does misfortune haunt my life? Why do those I love perish before me? What curse am I under? Adaku said to the great Iya Ifa. You are no ordinary woman, Adana. You belong to Ekun, the river god. Your mother made a pact with him, trading her life for yours. From the moment you were born, you were bound to him, body and soul. No mortal man can claim you, for your destiny is tied to the waters. Adana's knees buckled as the weight of the revelation crushed her. Tears streamed down her face as the truth settled in. Her love, her freedom, her very life, all controlled by a god she had never chosen. That night, Adana gathered poisonous herbs and consumed them. Adana chose death over a life of bondage, her spirit defiant until the very end. The next morning, the village awoke to a relentless storm. Thunder roared across the sky, and the river flowed with a fury the villagers had never seen before. Fear gripped their hearts as they whispered amongst themselves, sensing something terrible had happened. At the riverbank, Ekun, the mighty river god, stood amidst the chaos. His towering form shimmered with sorrow as rain poured down his face like tears. In his arms, he held Adana's lifeless body, her beauty still radiant even in death. The once feared and untouchable god now looked broken, his anguish evident. The winds howled as if mourning with him, and the river's water churned violently, relieving his grief. He gazed at her with pain and despair in his voice. The story of Adana became a cautionary tale in Umuha, a reminder of the price of desperation and the power of choice. Be careful what you wish for every gift has its price.